In today's video, I will be joining the Triggles, a farming family, on their day-to-day life on their farm. We'll be looking at their cows and what other things they do in this modern era to make money. When we arrived, we were informed that they will be moving the cows from their summer field to their barn for the winter. So they have started the day by preparing the barn for the cows and moving their hay to their feeding area. While waiting for the cows to move into the other field so that they can bring the cows to the barn, Andrew decided that he needed to do some maintenance work on the farm, so he got out his hedge trimmer and went and trimmed some of the ivy that was overgrown on the wall. While we were waiting for the cows to be ready, Andrew showed us the vintage cars that they use for weddings and movies.
Start talking about the old bangers. Yeah. So these old cars then are what me and my dad consider our little second venture, farm diversification if you like. And they are a collection of old cars, starting with the oldest, which is a 1912 Buick, which was built in America. Quite interestingly, it's a right-hand drive. They were built in America as right-hand drives initially. That one we bought because it furthers our repertoire for possible film work back to 1912, rather than what we've always been able to go to about 1920. The next car in the line is a 1928 Austin 12 Clifton Tourer. That is identical underneath to the one behind it, which is another Austin 12. They are both Austin 12s. That is the hard top down the end, and this one is the soft top version. And they're very, very practical old cars. They're probably the best cars you could run nowadays for a vintage car. They're so basic and really good, lovely old cars. That's why we've got two of them. So these two old cars in here, Jess, are a 1930 Austin 20, which is one of the biggest cars at the time that Austin built. That is a limousine which will carry up to 6 passengers. It's got two little occasional seats just behind the glass partition, which is quite useful for weddings, as you can see. And the car on the left hand side of it is a 1930 again Rolls Royce, which is a very, very upmarket machine compared to the Austin, and that is again used for weddings with two little seats that you can carry extra people with. And that old car has also been in quite a few scenes of Peaky Blinders.
After lunch, I got a call from Andrew telling us that the cows were ready to move, so we rushed back to the farm just in time to see the cows being moved from the field across the road and into the farm. After they brought the cows over, they were done for the day. So me and my cameraman went and had a chat with Roger, who is the eldest of
Well done, Sue. That's very kind of you to join in. So what we've got in here that we've just moved over the road, these are our suckler cows. So the larger animals are obviously older, and they're our suckler cows, and they will be calving, they'll have their calves in March, April time. And the little ones that you can see in here are last year's calves. And they will, they come in here, and this is where we bed them down, and this is where they can come and lie down in the winter. And then they go outside, and the feeding barriers are just up round the corner on the concrete. And every other day we have to scrape all that up, keep it all nice and clean.
After they brought the cows over, they were done for the day. So me and my cameraman went and had a chat with Roger, who is the eldest of the family, to ask him about his experience in farming.
So Roger, tell me about your experience with farming over your lifetime.
Well, sort of even before my lifetime, my father was a farmer. He was brought up on a farm, and my grandfather was. In fact, there's a picture of my father right there when he was about to be married.
Ooh.
And the picture of both him on that picture would be how they used to farm in those days with a horse and cart. Anyway, we moved up here on my 18th birthday. I'm not telling you when that was, but how old I am, but it was in 1956.
I'm pretty sure I can work that
And we've got some pictures in there somewhere where how we used to milk the cows in an old milking barrel. But I don't know whether I can find those right at the minute. But we'll do you want to see if you can find the milking barrel pictures? You can put one of those on if he wants to. And then I suppose we did that for about 17 years, and then the powers that be changed from milk churns, which is what we always put the milk into, to bulk tanks that were refrigerated. So that sort of spelt the end because of our geographical position. It didn't fit churn milking with mobility milking, so we had to give up milking in there, and we went into doing a bit of contracting, cleaning ditches with a machine we had, which was quite an interim sort of top up because we weren't milking cows anymore. And then we a posh voice came on the phone one day and he said, "I understand you have an early commercial vehicle," he said. I said, "Oh, we got a Model T Ford Tundra, why?" And he said, "Would you like to do a bit of filming?" So that we went sideways a bit from farming then into doing filming, and weddings started with our little fleet of vintage cars we were building at the time. And the two enterprises took, well, not totally over from farming, but halfway. We only did half farming after that. Then we let quite a lot of our grass and kept beef cattle, and we've been kind of on that line ever since.
Okay. When did you start with the pumpkins and the Christmas trees?
Oh, that was Naomi. We call her the manager. Shouldn't say that, should I? She certainly had the idea of growing pumpkins, and we thought, well, we could do that. And that was, I think, 12 years ago now. So what is it, 24 hours? About 2012, I should think, or 2011, something like that. And we've been doing it ever since. And then, of course, as you know, we went in about 6 years ago into Christmas trees as well.
Yeah.
And so one way or another, it seems to have worked quite well. So it helps keep us alive.
Is there anything you miss from the olden days that you can't really do these days?
Invariably, nearly all things about the olden days were so much harder work than what we do now. So there isn't very much we miss very much of the olden days because it was damned hard work.
I can imagine. I mean, earlier when we saw Andrew with the hedge trimmer, we mentioned how that looked very easy.
Well, apart from the fact he gets a crick neck and he has to go and have his neck manipulated from a therapist. But that sort of thing happens. I used to have a dishing machine that was, I had to turn around backwards all the time, so my neck used to go funny. And using the clutch all the time, when I got off the tractor, I could hardly stand. But you did a hell of a lot more work with that machine than you did if you were doing it by hand. So that makes life a lot easier.
And with that interview, this concludes the day I have spent with the Triggles. It has been a very eye-opening experience for me. I have learned a lot more about farming than I thought I would. I have learned that you have to have patience and things might not go the way you plan, and that you have to adapt sometimes to be able to survive in this modern world. But this modern world has made it a lot easier for farmers to be able to do what they do.